Option. John, it is great to be with you today. Let's talk a little bit about the setup for Nvidia this week. Is this a make or break earnings report from the AI giant?
Well, it's hard to say that anything would be a make or break. It certainly is something that's going to be a catalyst for the stock. And Jensen Huang is famous for being very optimistic and not exactly lowering the bar for guidance going forward. I think that what we're likely to see is a lot of discussion about deep seek and about the chips that are out there already, the Blackwell chip and so forth, as well as what we're going to be seeing from Nvidia. Lately, we've seen a lot of upside call buying, which to us, my brother and I at Market Rebellion, that says people are betting on upside movement out of this stock post earnings. And they're not just in the very short term, they're out in April as well as out into next year. So they're pretty bullish long term. And that's why I say not really feeling like a make or break, but certainly like something that's going to influence the rest of the market.
So it sounds like the expectation is there is a catalyst for a move higher, especially in the context of how Nvidia has performed this year. I mean, in the last 2 years, you've seen these triple-digit advances for Nvidia. Last year, 2024, 2023. So far this year, you've really seen little movement, especially because of that major pressure Nvidia suffered after the news of DeepSeek. So from the options activity you're seeing, it looks like there is bullish momentum behind it off the back of these the upcoming earnings.
Yeah, and this is one of those stocks where when people get bullish or bearish, they do it with authority. They're buying a lot of upside calls. And again, to us, they've been buying since it was about 122 after that DeepSeek sell-off. And then they've kept buying as it went through 130 and 132 last week, more or less fighting off a very tough week in the market, at least at the end of last week. And so, yeah, I'd say there's optimism going into Wednesday's earnings, and certainly it'll influence Snowflake and other tech stocks that are reporting this week.
Do you think, given its positioning within the AI and chip space, do you think, especially if there's bullish momentum around Nvidia, if it performs as the way the options market is indicating, there will be more momentum within the AI space, or will we see? Are you expecting to see a broadening or rotation?
Well, we had Jensen Huang, again, the CEO of NVIDIA, talk about how far out quantum computing is. And then Microsoft came out just a week later, basically, and said, not so fast. We've got this new chip. It is an amazing new chip that they designed. They, of course, don't make them except in the development stage. But I think we're going to see and focus in on what's right here, right now, which is AI. Quantum is out into the future, but probably not as far out as the CEO of NVIDIA indicated. So look for a lift out of some of these AI stocks in particular, for some of the data center stocks, because those are the ones that, of course, react almost immediately to anything new in the AI space. And then energy, because energy was a big winner last week. I think it'll continue to be a winner. And it's not just oil and gas, of course. We're talking about nuclear, small modular reactors like SMRs, Oklo, and nanonuclear. Those kinds of things, I think, will continue to dominate some of the news after NVIDIA's earnings.
And are there any other sectors or stock-specific moves based on options activity that you're paying attention to this week in the context of the wind down of earnings season?
Yeah, I'd say consumer discretionary stocks, they took a huge hit last week. That, of course, coming from, staples, the sorts of things we buy at Walmart, which I'd say for the most part are staples, not so much consumer discretionary. We all have to eat. And a lot of what we buy at Walmart does relate to that. So I'd say consumer discretionary, I'd look for a bounce here. Some of the communication stocks as well that were hit pretty hard last week towards the tail end, Thursday and Friday. Those two sectors were pretty weak. So I'm looking for a little bit of a bounce there. We've seen speculative paper on the upside in those. And then I guess we'll have to see how frothy the market gets. We had that big jump in volatility last week. It's easing a little bit today, but as long as there are tariffs on the table, as well as negotiations with Ukraine, I don't think we're going to see those very low 15 levels for the VIX anytime soon again.
Speaking of frothy, and also in the context of the records that we saw last week in the market, are you noticing that traders are, kind of nervous or still in a buy the dip mentality?
I think they've been nervous. I know you've heard that on the floor of the New York,
Yeah.
because when I've been there recently, everybody's kind of on edge a little bit because they know how quickly the market will react to talk of tariffs and then the administration pulling back and saying, wait, we're going to do it in April. We're going to negotiate between now and April. We just wanted to announce it. So I think we're not scared. I don't think the buy the dip mentality is back yet either, though. So, in other words, I think we're sort of going to be in a range, bouncing from the upper end of the range, that high we hit last week, to probably a little bit lower than where we are now. I think that's what we're going to look for until after the earnings season has passed.
All right. It's John Najarian, co-owner of Market Rebellion and co-author of It's Not an Option. Thanks a ton, John, for the deep dive.